a little birthday dinner for Miss Melissa. So we're going to take her out, late reservations tonight. So we're going to hurry through the broadcast so that we can do that. And then there will be no Sunday night Bible study as I teach the book of Revelation Sunday night, because I'm going to take off the whole weekend and spend it with her. It's her weekend. And I'll tell you what we did when we come back. We're staying in town, but we're gonna do a few things that she loves to do. Take her out probably for dinner again tomorrow night, because I don't want her cooking this weekend. She's a great cook, but I'm going to give her a little break. Work in the yard some. I know she has a honey-do list for me. And last weekend I shaved Dolly. Dolly got a haircut last week. Should we go to a wide shot? Dolly, did you show him your haircut? Show him your haircut from last week? Dolly, you're not really responding. There she is, rolled up in a knot. You're not responding, but she got a little haircut last week. Melissa loves it when that happens, because then she's not shedding all over her floor. So that was an early birthday present. But I'm gonna probably take her out to the family cemetery too. She loves cemeteries. No, that's a joke. She hates them. But I think we are going to drive out into the country a little bit this weekend. And I will probably stop by the family cemetery plot. That's always fun. For me, it is. I enjoy going there. I really do. I like seeing all the relatives laying there with our, not laying there, but their markers are there. And our name is on the tombstones going back like to the Civil War. It's kind of fun. We get to walk around. So we're just going to enjoy a weekend together. So no Bible study Sunday night, because otherwise I'd have to spend all day Saturday and Sunday studying. And I think I really want to spend the time with her, and I think I better spend the time with her. Don't you guys? Will you guys forgive me if I don't have a Bible study for you brand new Sunday night? I think you will. We'll run a best of. And then pick up Revelation chapter 19 a week from Sunday night, Lord willing. All right. So tonight I'm going to have with me David Pine. Hey, we are just at the 80th anniversary of the dropping of the bomb at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Was that really necessary? History's kind of told us, oh, that was so necessary to save millions of lives. What's the real history of that? David Pine actually wrote an article on that back in 2022. Very interesting history I want to get to today about, we're going to talk also about General Douglas MacArthur. What did he say we should be doing? And then we're going to talk about bringing home our troops. I don't know, we got like 50,000 in the Middle East. What should we bring those home? Do we really need to keep them all over there? Let's talk about that. Let's also talk about the $50 million bounty on the head of the president of the dictator, the Marxist dictator of Venezuela. Is it really a good idea to be setting bounties on other world leaders' heads, or could that boomerang on us? Talk about that with David Pine. They're going to be joined by Dr. John Witcher. Apparently, RFK Jr. says they're going to roll out a new kind of vaccine. Okay, I love a lot of what RFK Jr. is doing, but I just don't think we need any more new vaccines. What do you think? I really don't. So we're going to do that. For those who are interested, I did put on my monitor today, the continuous glucose monitor system. I got that on there. It's right under here. Logan, should we show the video of that being installed? Oh, yeah, you got to pull it over. You've only had all afternoon. So I can now monitor my glucose. I do think I have a little bit of hypoglycemia. I think I've had that for years. I don't think that's all that uncommon, though. But now we're going to find out when we look at my blood readings and ratings. Now, I don't got much to go on because I just did it today, but earlier it was at 162. Right now I'm at 145. I don't know. We don't have enough data yet really to show charts or anything, but as the day wears on, we'll get to show a little bit more of that. So I did get that installed today. Now, I didn't look at the end inside the device. Melissa did, Logan did, and they both freaked out. Dr. Bashima said, don't look at the needles because you won't do it. So I didn't look. I obeyed my doctor. Logan looked, and it looked pretty scary, didn't it, Logan? Was it that bad, Logan? Good size needle? It didn't really hurt. You ready? We're gonna show you me having this installed, and then we synced it with the app so that we can do continuous monitoring. So like when I go to dinner tonight and stuff, we can see what my blood sugar is doing. So by next week, we ought to bring you a nice, beautiful chart. I don't know. I think it's gonna be beautiful. other than maybe the spikes we're going to find out about when I drink my grape juice and whatnot. I didn't really realize that AI was involved in this, but apparently AI is involved in this, Logan. I'm a little concerned, Logan, because now I've got something on my skin and in my skin that's AI. You don't think this is anywhere near the mark of the beast or anything, do you? I'm afraid I'm going to start getting emails, people saying, you took the mark of the beast. No, it's not. I know. As soon as people hear the word AI, they all start going nuts. Well, there are a lot of things about AI that are not going to be good. I agree with that. But no emails on the fact that you just took an AI mark and patch. And okay, you ready to roll this? But I think some people, I didn't realize it was AI when we did it, but found out after the fact that artificial intelligence is somehow involved, but I don't know. I'll be wearing it for 2 weeks. You think the government's tracking me now with my patch? It asked if you wanted to share my information for research purposes. And you did decline? All right. Well, that's probably a good idea. Yeah. Well, it's not like the government's not tracking me through my iPhone. They can see wherever I'm at. They go, okay, you want to roll this video?
No, not going to say anything here? We're just going to do it?
Yeah, we're just going to do it.
Is this the back of your arm?
Well, don't get my shirt in there.
There you go.
Is it on?
Yeah.
You have to make sure it's all, like the tape part's there. All right, now we have to download the app. Did you, I think it bent that needle. You had a hard time getting it into that boa, didn't you, Logan? Did it bend the needle when you put it into that bicep there? It bend the needle? No, I don't think it did either. We'll keep you posted on that. You guys can I let you in on a little news, guys? Breaking news here tonight. I've never shared this publicly. I guess President Trump has fired the IRS commissioner already. Right?
He's now the ambassador to Iceland.
He's now the ambassador to Iceland? Well, that sounds like a demotion. What?
And I saw
Where is this? Where is this?
second tweet down.
The second,
Third tweet down.
third tweet. Okay, here we go. I saw where former Superman actor Dean Kaine says he's joining ICE. So I got all fired up and thought I'd do the same. So I called it real Donald Trump last night and told him I wanted to join ICE. I guess he thought I said Iceland. Oh, well. But he does have a good sense of humor. So do we know why he's leaving as the IRS commissioner? Well, I'm going to let you in a little secret. I'm going to text Billy right now. I am sorry to see you're leaving as the IRS commissioner, period. I just tweet, hey, Logan, I corrected it. I'm sorry to see you're leaving as an Irish commissioner. Autocorrect just said Irish commissioner. What's that? You were just about how dumb autocorrect is? I just said, I'm sorry to see you're leaving as IRS commissioner, and it changed to Irish commissioner. I'm sorry to see you're leaving as the IRS commissioner. There we go. However, I wish you well in your new position as the ambassador to Iceland, period. So there you go. I'm so make sure I want to just double check it. I'm sorry to see you're leaving as the IRS commissioner. However, I wish you well in your new position as the ambassador to Iceland. There we go. I just hit send. Well, I'm really sorry to hear this because Mr. Long and I have been communicating for a while by text. And I think Mr. Long was actually getting someone to look into my issue where the IRS decided to fine me over $49,000 because I dared to pay my payroll taxes for our organization by a check when their system was down for 2 days in 2021, even though they sent me 2 letters saying, oh, no, don't worry about that, Mr. House, we're abating it. And of course, 20-something CPAs in one room told my CPA they've never seen the IRS not follow through on an abatement letter to reverse themselves. So Anyway, Mr. Long was a congressman of the great state of Missouri, and we have a mutual couple friends. So I got his text number. I mean, my phone is filled up with, you guys, I think would be, I'm not bragging here because I didn't do anything to get them, but when you work in this line of work, you get a lot of phone numbers. We got a lot of phone numbers of the people in this administration. And, well, I had a friend of mine that knew Mr. Long and said, here's his number. And Mr. Long was being very gracious and said, look, we're going to look into this. Someone's going to call you and blah, blah, blah. And so we were starting to get to the bottom of this. And now he's not even the IRS commissioner anymore. So there you go. I don't know. Maybe he'll respond and say, thank you. Come see me in Iceland. I'm not going to go see him in Iceland, but I'll be glad to interview him. Maybe we could add him as a guest. But he does have a good sense of humor. You guys know he was a former auctioneer, right? He says, it's an honor to serve my friend, President Trump, and I'm excited to take on my new role as the ambassador to Iceland. I'm thrilled to answer his call to service and deeply committed to advancing his bold agenda. Exciting times ahead. All right, well, there you go. We'll have to find out who the next IRS commissioner is. See if we can get that guy's phone number, or gal's phone number.
Stephen Miller's acting.
Stephen Miller's acting?
Scott.
Scott Bessent is acting right now. Okay. Well, if Donald Trump called and asked me to take the job, I think I would take this one, but it would have to be with the agreement that I get to really, really make some reforms.
There won't be another.
Maybe there won't be another one? Look at that. Did your girlfriend just walk in the studio?
Yeah.
Look at that. Do you want to appear on camera tonight? Look at you wearing your scrubs. You just come from surgery or what? No, where'd you come from? Just the clinic? You doing ultrasounds, right? Mm-hmm. We're having a very exciting show tonight. We're talking about my new glucose monitor, the fact the IRS commissioner has now become the ambassador to Iceland, even though we were communicating on fixing my tax issues and trying to get those worked out, get to the bottom of that. Oh, well. Well, it's good to see you. All right. So with that, folks, what an interesting evening we're having, right? It's a Friday night, kind of a slow news day. Let's see here. If you want to wish Miss Melissa a happy birthday, which a lot of you did today when I mentioned that on radio, you can just email me, Brandon@worldviewtube.com, and I'll pass those on to her. Brandon, Brannon. Dolly is glad to see you. Brannon@worldviewtube.com. No D in there, Brandon, Brannon @worldviewtube.com. We'll send those along. All right, before we go to David Pine and then Dr. Witcher, abbreviated show tonight because I'm taking the bride to dinner for her birthday. Remember, we're brought to you by you guys. I'm not going to make this very short. We're brought to you by you. Look at all these sponsors at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Do business with these companies. These are great companies with great products. Support your health and us at the same time. Highly recommend you do that. I do want to particularly highlight one, and that is Worldview Talk. I just want to thank Worldview Talk and Tina for being such great sponsors. I have one of their satellite phones. You should get one. They're free with a very reasonable monthly plan. Starlink, that's free with a very reasonable monthly plan. Then the solar generators. By the way, article out this week, an expert warning about how China can shut down not only our critical infrastructure of electricity, but the natural gas. Well, that's wonderful because my Generac generator runs on natural gas. So that's why I have a generator, solar generator, because if my Generac doesn't run, see right now if the power grid goes down, my Generac should run if it's able to keep pushing the natural gas. But if not, I need a backup to my backup, which is why I have the Delta Echo 400 solar generator, okay? And you guys should all have these things, okay? So you can go to worldviewtalk.com or 1-866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224. Okay, there you go. That's one of many great sponsors over at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. sponsors. All right, let's get right to it. Joining me now is David Pine, our national security expert. David is the president of the EMP Task Force, emptaskforce.us, emptaskforce.us. You also can be found at dpyne, dpyne.substack.com. David, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, Brandon, great to be with you.
I want to go to the issue. We've got a lot to talk about. China's biggest threat to U.S. is a tech kill switch after malicious claims. We also have a great article from you at the National Interest back in 2022 about the atomic bombings of Japan did not produce its surrender. We just had the 80th anniversary of that bombing. Logan and I and Melissa were just right by the two airplanes that dropped the bomb, Enola Gay, and then the other one, what was it called, the Boxcar or something? Boxcar. That one, we were by that one as well. One of them is in in Dayton, Ohio. The other one is in Washington, D.C. So we filmed both of those. We have a little documentary coming out on both those planes in that run. But that was 80 years ago this week. I want to talk about that. And then, of course, I want to get to the issue of aligning global military posture with U.S. interest, keeping troops in the Middle East, and should we be bringing a lot of these folks home? I think you say so, as well as has Colonel Rob Maness. And then let's start out, though, with Russia, Ukraine, Putin, Zelensky, the deadline. Where is this going, David? What's the latest you're hearing, and what are your expectations?
Well, there's been so much going on with in terms of the diplomacy. Of course, the latest is that President Trump has stated that he could meet with Russian President Putin as early as next week. However, the White House has since come out and said that meeting would be conditional upon Putin's agreement to meet with Zelensky shortly thereafter, after the Trump meeting, make it go from a bilateral meeting to a trilateral meeting. And that's something that I think Putin would be, perhaps not unwilling, but certainly not desirous to do, because he has rightly stated that Zelensky has exceeded his constitutional term in office. He's ruled as a dictator and refused to hold democratic elections as required under I think it's Article 43 of the Ukrainian Constitution. Which does not prohibit the holding of presidential elections during times of martial law or times of war. So I think that it's possible that Putin would agree to that, but it's also possible that Trump may concede that requirement if he thinks that it would be useful to meet with Putin. Thus far, he hasn't really been willing to, and so this could be a breakthrough if indeed a Trump-Putin summit happens. However, the chances of some kind of deal being reached seem pretty low, because President Trump did have one good faith offer for peace. I think it was in late April or early May that he sent the 22-point Kellogg plan to the Russians. Russia promptly rejected it because it had a number of objectionable terms that I'll be writing my next article about. In terms of how we might be able to find a compromise between Trump and Putin. But just the very fact that they're meeting, I mean, they haven't met for like 6.5 years. I think it's been since 2019. So I guess it's been just over 6 years that Putin and Trump have met. But I think it's a good thing that President Trump seems to be open to it.
Yeah, indeed it is. All right. So you think it'll hold?
I think it's conditional upon President Trump being flexible and whether Putin's going to be flexible. I think Trump has acted like a bully. He's tried to kind of bully and coerce Russia to capitulate to U.S. demands, and the U.S. demands are outlined in that 22-point peace plan, which President Trump to date has not been unwilling to negotiate at all. He basically threw his hands up, and said, "I don't know what to do next." After Russia rejected the peace terms. Well, as a deal maker, he should know that what you do is you meet at the table with the Russians at a high level, perhaps Rubio, Lavrov, or even at the vice president, prime minister level, and you hammer out the terms. This is what we can agree on. These are the 22 points, the points that we both can agree on, and then you negotiate the terms that Russia can't accept. And it's very simple. Steve Witkoff, Trump's excellent U.S. special envoy, stated that we should just start with the Istanbul Agreement, which Ukraine actually agreed to over 3.5 years ago, and expand on that and just say, the one term that we won't agree to is that Russia doesn't get any more territory. They have to kind of freeze the lines, I guess, and that can be spun as a win for Trump and a win for Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we can avert World War III. That's good for all of us.
Yeah, it might actually make the U.S. safer and our NATO partners safer as well. You know, something that Biden didn't want to do, and Trump hasn't been willing to do to date. But
and then he would deserve the Peace Prize, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to see him get a Nobel Peace Prize for actually solving the war. Which he had the power to do as president of the United States.
Yep. Then he'd be definitely deserving of that. Look at this article, David. The Daily Express, U.S. I mentioned this the other night, but since you're the president of the EMP task force, China's biggest threat to U.S. is a tech kill switch after malicious claims. A cybersecurity expert has warned that China is the biggest technological threat to the West, with Chinese equipment containing malicious computer codes. A cybersecurity experts delivered a chilling alert that China presents the greatest technological threat to the Western countries, processing the ability to trigger a kill switch on America's power grid at will. In response to this disclosure, the United States has initiated numerous probes into Chinese-made technology, with various investigations revealing malicious, mysterious computer codes that can be remotely triggered to disable critical infrastructure such as, listen now, natural gas pipelines and electrical networks. Oh boy. David, now this is right in your wheelhouse, obviously, as the president of the EMP Task Force, emptaskforce.us. And the late Dr. Pry, who passed away, has it been 4 years ago this month? Is that 4 years ago or 5, David?
It's been 3.5 years since it's been 3 years in August. So this month is the 3-year anniversary of his passing.
Yeah, hard to believe.
Yeah.
But Dr. Pry was warning about this, David. What are your thoughts on this article?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. China has multiple kill switches. They have obviously the kill switch for the power grid in terms of the Chinese transformers. They have backdoors. I think it's about 11% of our transformers here in our power grid in the U.S. Are Chinese built, thanks to Joe Biden and Barack Obama. So we've got about 493 transformers that we need to have replaced. So that's one kill switch. Then they have a kill switch for solar panels. Reportedly, Chinese-built solar panels. They can shut those down and take out our power grid that way. And then they have this tech kill switch. And then they even have a military kill switch. So they have most of our weapon systems contain Chinese motherboards, according to a DHS expert I met with personally back in February at a national security conference. And so, some of those motherboards are even in some of our aircraft, our combat aircraft. So potentially they could take down some of our aircraft and missiles, perhaps potentially even use some of our weapon systems against us. So we are completely overmatched when it comes to potential war with China. We have to avoid that at all costs, even if it means a compromise on the sovereignty of Taiwan.
Wow. Okay, let's switch. So again, obviously, this is something we don't hear being talked about much at the public level. Oh, how should Americans respond to this news?
Well, I think we just need to reformat our foreign policy. We need to put the safety and security of the American people first. We have 286 million citizens in our country, and that our first loyalty in terms of our national security priority should be to their safety. And our leaders don't or aren't really acting in their best interests. We're provoking potential nuclear war or cyber or super EMP war with Russia and potentially China. The Taiwan situation is not it's not imminent at this point, but it could be. China could move in the direction of a all-out amphibious invasion or blockade within as little as a week's notice. And just any time in terms of a blockade. Amphibious invasions, are the best windows are April or October. So likely that we wouldn't see that until kind of the October timeframe. But with regards to Russia, I mean, Trump's talking about, reportedly sending JASSMs and even Tomahawks with a 1,550-mile range to Ukraine to target, Russian military and other sites, perhaps even nuclear sites west of the Ural Mountains, and that would be, a major trigger for potential World War III with Russia.
Let's talk about last night as we're going off the air. We announced that President Trump, his Attorney General Pam Bondi made a video that we played, saying that there's a $50 million reward for helping arrest the president of Venezuela, Maduro, a dictator. I'm no fan of Maduro. He seems to be an outright Marxist from everything I can tell, drug running, drug trafficking, harboring, I think, according to many experts, harboring China, Iran, Hezbollah, a lot of bad people in Venezuela. I guess they released their prisoners and the worst of the worst and shoved them up here to America. So I have no, concern about Maduro as far as his safety or anything else. I could care less what they do with him. But I am not so sure. I mean, I'm asking you. My gut reaction is, wait a minute. Does the United States really want to go around putting $50 million bounties on other world leaders' heads? Doesn't that have the opportunity to boomerang on us? What are your thoughts when you heard that report?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think there's kind of an unspoken rule of, in terms of international law and behavior, is that you don't target, enemy foreign leaders for assassination or abduction or anything like that. Certainly not with some kind of mercenary bounty, as the DOJ is talking about. For the very reason that it could boomerang, and they could respond by trying to assassinate the president of the United States, and we've already seen that happen with these Ukrainian-backed militants that are far left, kind of crazies essentially, or even CIA assets. And reportedly, the Trump administration has claimed that Iran has also they also have teams that are targeting the president, or at least they did during the campaign. I don't know if I can't confirm the veracity of those claims. I'm kind of suspicious. There's been no evidence presented that that's the case. But it underscores the fact that any country in the world, that's a medium power or a great power, does have the ability to potentially target U.S. political and military leaders for assassination. And so I think this is the wrong way to go about it. I think President Trump should instead, call for, just fully support, Maduro's, political opponents. I think that would be much more, much better, a much better option. Tighten the sanctions regime. I'm all for that. In the past, I've even, considered, supporting an invasion of Venezuela. I think it's certainly would be a stupid move to do today. But if we were to, follow the defense priorities plan and withdraw most of our troops from Europe and the Middle East, we could certainly consider that if we prioritize the defense of the Western Hemisphere as we should. I think it's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to this article. Aligning global military posture with U.S. interest. Defense Priorities has an article out dated July 9th, 2025. The Pentagon should revise the U.S. global military posture to be consistent with protecting vital national interests based on a grand strategy of realism and restraint. This will mean reducing the size of the military footprint in certain regions and changing the mix and location of military forces in others. Now, this sounds very consistent with what I've heard you and Colonel Rob Main is talking about, getting our troops, what are there, about 50,000 U.S. soldiers in the Middle East, getting them out of the Middle East, David?
Yeah, there's 100,000 U.S. troops in Europe, and there's over 50,000 in the Middle East. Trump has actually increased our military footprint in the Middle East. He's doubled the number of troops in Syria, and he's increased our troop levels in the region in terms of carrier strike groups and other forces. But there's just really no good reason for the U.S. to keep troops in, for example, Iraq and Syria. I would argue even Jordan, there's not really a big rationale to keep troops there. In Eastern Europe, I mean, Russia has made clear that views the U.S. military presence in Eastern Europe as a flagrant violation of the understandings that we reached with the Russians during the 1990s and early 2000s. And they don't really serve any purpose. I mean, essentially, what this article points out is, these are military nuclear tripwires. Essentially, is that we have small numbers of U.S. forces on the borders of potentially nuclear powers. 2,500 troops in Iraq on the border of Iran, which, as we've discussed, is likely a nuclear power. Lots of U.S. troops, 20,000 troops in Eastern Europe, at least on Russia's borders, in the Baltics, Poland and Romania, that shouldn't be there, and could be used to essentially box in the President of the United States, so that if Russia were to invade the Baltics or Poland, for example, then we would be forced in essentially because U.S. troops could be killed in the first days of the conflict in a nuclear war that would end in our destruction. So it's not really it's something that U.S. leaders need to reconsider in terms of our grand strategy. And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, this plan is completely in line with his announced strategy. His announced strategy was that we would deprioritize the defense of Europe and the Middle East, and we would focus almost exclusively on the defense of the Western Hemisphere, as well as deterring Chinese aggression in the Pacific. And presidents from Obama on have said we're going to pivot to Asia. There's been no pivot at all under the Trump administration. In fact, if anything, he's withdrawn obviously naval forces, carrier strike groups from the Western Pacific, and redeployed them to the Middle East, where they shouldn't be.
If you talk about that many troops, 150,000 plus between Europe and the Middle East, where do we bring them? We bring them home? What do we do? Tell them go back to work, get a job, build up the workforce, cut our budgets, keep them on call, maybe pay them a stipend for being ready to go on call, go on regular monthly weekends for staying fit and ready to go. I mean, what would you do with those 150,000?
Well, I would say most of them we'd want to bring home to the United States. I mean, the first priority is the defense of our borders. So we defend the southern border, and Trump's done an excellent job of that. He's shut immigration down cold. For the first time, even during his first term, he didn't really do that to the extent that he has here. So that's really something he can boast about. But it's really for homeland defense, hemispheric defense. Maybe we deploy them to overseas bases within the Western Hemisphere. We have half of our bases are either in the Pacific or the Western Hemisphere in terms of overseas military bases. But certainly we could consider, demobilizing them or something like that. But we would gain so much money. I mean, when we think of building the Golden Dome, for example, I think that's been talked about. Trump wants to get that done in 3 years. It would probably cost at least $150 billion to do that. We could save 150,000 troops. That equates to $150 billion a year in savings. So we would have $450 billion more just bringing the troops home.
Yes.
To devote to those priorities, hardening the grid, hardening all of our critical infrastructure, not just the grid against super EMP and cyber attack. So we could not eliminate existential threats, but we could at the same time as we're ending our provocations of great power war with Russia and China by pulling our troops home, we could also defend the U.S. against those existential threats in a way that no U.S. leader has been willing to do to date.
Yeah, you and I are 100% agreement. And can you imagine not only the savings, as you say, reinvesting it where we really need it, but I like the idea of keeping a lot of them on call, lower their pay, obviously, to have those savings, let them go into the workforce, let them become police officers, sheriff deputies, private security. We are going to have a drastic need for increase in private security. I've been saying this for years to friends of mine that are cops. I said, if you want to go and make money, you should take your expertise and go start a private security company. because I'm telling you, the trend is going to be toward private security companies for middle to upper class neighborhoods. Their HOAs will start hiring security, maybe 24 hours a day, but certainly to patrol the neighborhood at night. You're going to see companies and corporations, churches, synagogues, and even wealthy families and prominent figures are going to have increased security because of the dangerous era we're going into. I still believe that. One of the guys that left the police department went and started one. He did security for us and some of the high profile people we work with here that were coming into our studio. He put pictures of myself and some of these other high profile people who names people would know up. And I talked to him about 6 months later. I said, how's business? He said, swamped. Swamped. And he uses a lot of the officers who are off on the weekends to do, he rotates them in and out. But once people realized he was available, he swamped. And you could have all of these military guys coming back home, like I said, working in police departments, sheriff departments, private security, going into working in corporations where we could use them to work, it'd be great all the way around. But then school securities, which I think our school security is very lax in America, but then they're ready to go. If we're having them deployed once a weekend, once a weekend a month or whatever, like the National Guard, then if we need them, they're ready to go, whether it's deploying some of them in a rotating manner to the border or whatever it might be. Then we've got and I think that's more in line with the Constitution too. Don't you think, David?
Yeah, we absolutely need a large standing army just for hemispheric defense. But yeah, I like your idea of transferring some of our troops to active reserve forces and kind of helping them get employed, high-paying jobs elsewhere, perhaps in the national security field, or the types of private security jobs you're talking about, and utilizing their expertise. But there's just so many reasons for us to pursue a policy of actual peace through strength, not this fake peace through strength in which we provoke our enemies to attack us when we're weak. That's exactly the opposite of what Ronald Reagan did and what he would do if he were still president.
Let's go to this last one, David. It's an article you wrote in 2022, but it's very appropriate because of the 80th anniversary, if I remember correctly, this last week, the 80th anniversary of the bombing of Japan. You wrote this in 2022. The atomic bombing of Japan did not produce its surrender. Tell me about that, please.
Yeah, so there's a liberal myth, and this is something I've been trying to fight a long time. I wrote my 20-page senior paper in college for my political science degree. It was about this. It was about did the atomic bombings end the war in the Pacific? And the answer is no. In fact, the bombs didn't save any lives, and the reason is Japan had been trying to surrender since July 1944, and according to the MacArthur memorandum, which is most people are unaware of, it's a 40-page memorandum issued by General of the Army Douglas MacArthur to then President FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. There were 5 Japanese surrender attempts, all of which were approved by the emperor, that had been issued to the United States to MacArthur, essentially, by January of 1945. And the terms of those surrender, the surrender offer terms were identical, virtually identical to what was imposed on Japan after the atomic bombing. So tens of thousands of American military servicemen died in the war in the Pacific during the last 7 months of the war that could have been saved. FDR essentially laughed in MacArthur's face and said, we're not going to, we're not ready to end this yet. We want to, crush them basically more and maybe, show U.S. military power. And essentially that I think is why Truman decided to use the atomic bombs, as he viewed them as, exciting, cool new toys. He wanted to see what effects they had on human beings and send a message that we were the new global superpower. It's hard to think of any other reason to do that, because there just wasn't any military reason to do that. And there were seven out of 8 5-star generals and admirals at the time in the U.S. military stated they were opposed to using the bombs because they weren't necessary, and they killed 140,000 Japanese civilians that would have survived the war. But in terms of the reason that it didn't end the war is because we had firebombed and destroyed 60 Japanese cities prior to the use of the atomic bombs, and Japanese leaders didn't view the atomic bombings as materially different from that. They just viewed it as another two cities that we destroyed. But what they really were scared about is when the Soviets, declared war and had their lightning August storm invasion of Manchuria, northern Japan, as well, the Kuril Islands, Sakhalin Island. And then they correctly deduced that Stalin was about to invade the northern main Japanese island of Hokkaido, which they were really scared about, because obviously they saw what happened in Germany. We cut Germany into 8 pieces and divided them into 4 occupation zones. And then, of course, all the rapes, the millions of rapes that the Red Army did, and obviously the starvation that was done by the Western Allies. They wanted to avoid that fate for Japan. They didn't want to have a communist North Japan and a pro-Western South Japan, as we saw with Korea, which hadn't taken place yet. But that's essentially what they were afraid of in terms of East and West Germany. And so they decided to surrender unconditionally to the United States. But the one demand the one thing that they didn't offer in those surrender terms was the retention, the loss of the emperor. And in the end, Truman granted it anyway. So there was really no reason. He actually reportedly used the Potsdam Declaration was the terms that we demanded from them were essentially virtually the exact same terms as they had already offered to us 6 months earlier. So all these claims have come out, and they were mostly post-war claims. Ironically, the U.S. Army strategic bombing survey concluded that we would lose 44,000 dead if we invaded the Japanese main islands before they surrendered, which is that's a horrible loss, and we wanted to avoid that. But we had the surrender block or the starvation blockade going on. We had the destruction of Japanese cities. They basically didn't have an air force or a navy by the time we atomic bombed them, and all these justifications and false claims have come out mainly by President Truman, who after the fact, he realized that there was, kind of a public outcry against the devastation and the radiation burns and all the women and children that were horribly disfigured.
Those famous pictures, right, of those children running down the street burned. Yeah.
I mean, it was just really horrific, just nightmarish that we did that. Really, it's the only nuclear war or nuclear use of any country in world history, and it was us, and we try to paint ourselves as this perfect, great country, and in many ways we're a great country, certainly, but very imperfect, because those were barbaric weapons that the equivalent of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Leahy, said were just completely the opposite of what a Christian nation should do. And, we didn't save 1 million troops. We didn't save even 250,000 troops. The numbers kept going up as the months went by President Truman. He said, well, first we saved 250,000 troops. Then he said 500,000 troops. Then he said, no, it was actually 1 million troops. I mean, so that, when you see those kind of numbers being exaggerated, you know that there's something that our leaders are trying to cover up.
And the MacArthur memo, most Americans don't know about this. This is fascinating. Now, I personally have always had a lot of respect for Douglas MacArthur. How about you?
I think General MacArthur was our greatest general. I think we should have, just like we should have let Patton fight the Soviets and liberate all of Eastern Europe immediately following Germany's surrender. We could have rehabilitated the German army under U.S. control, essentially, Patton's control. We could have, easily fought the Soviets back to their 1938 borders. In the same way, MacArthur argued for us to liberate communist China and North Korea during the Korean War, and Truman fired him over it. So, I think, and MacArthur MacArthur saved Japan. He was a great Christian leader. He said, he was asked, what do we do to save Japan and turn them into a peaceful society? He said, send as many Christian missionaries and Bibles as possible, and will transform their society. So he's viewed very favorably by the Japanese, unlike Eisenhower, who was very brutal and murderous towards the Germans after the war, despite his German ancestry. MacArthur was very, certainly he treated the Japanese as kind of subservient. He humiliated the emperor, but he opposed trying the emperor for war crimes. Or getting rid of the emperor, and so he preserved a level of respect in Japanese society and is revered as a savior of Japan to this day.
Have you seen the movie on MacArthur starring Tommy Lee Jones?
I did, yeah. And there was one before that with, I think, Gregory Peck.
You think those are pretty accurate?
Well, I mean, certainly MacArthur he was full of himself. He had a God complex. I think President Trump does too. A lot of other U.S. political and military leaders throughout history. But he was an anti-communist. He was a good Christian leader. He was someone who he opposed war. I mean, he has quotes talking about how the soldier prays for peace more than anyone else because he's the one who has to bear the wounds of war. And that's so many great quotes from MacArthur. And sure, he made mistakes. Sure, he was lost the Philippines. I mean, he didn't really have the military capabilities at the time. Obviously, we were after Pearl Harbor, we were struggling to oppose Japanese aggression. But his Incheon landings were brilliant. Where we were about to lose all of South Korea. We were just kind of had a Pusan perimeter at the south, and we're able to. He was able to have those Incheon landings and brilliantly, liberate almost all of North Korea before the Chinese troops intervened.
I think we need to do a documentary on General MacArthur, Logan. I think it'd be fascinating, and I think he just gave us some great content to pull out and put in our documentaries. We'll get more, of course, from David. dpyne.substack.com, dpyne.substack.com. Fascinating 32 minutes with David. David, thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Brandon. Have a great weekend.
You too, my friend. We'll be right back after this.
Introducing the Sentry Wellness System, the ultimate under-sink water treatment solution designed with you in mind. Say goodbye to harmful toxins and hello to water enriched with essential nutrients like calcium and magnesium. Enjoy the benefits of increased pH for on-demand alkalinity. All from a zero-waste system that fits seamlessly into your home. Installation is a breeze, taking just 15 minutes, so you can have clean, healthy, great-tasting water straight from your tap. Perfect for apartments, homes, rentals, and even RVs. Elevate your hydration and well-being with the Sentry Wellness System because you deserve the best in every drop.
Sentry H2O. Tap into wellness.
My story started with alcohol, and I had tried going to other treatments, and all I did was think about how I was not going to drink or how I was going to drink one more day and then stop the next day. And Katie had found a treatment. I thought it was kind of hokey.
I could see a couple days into it, it's like the light bulb went on with him.
It's an IV infusion of all natural NAD. It saved my life and my family.
We've been where you sit.
The hardest part of this is making that phone call and just come in and talk to us.
Joining me now is Dr. John Witcher. All right, Dr. John, we got a video by RFK Jr. We were really excited about some of the vaccine stuff he's canceled, some of the people he's fired. I mean, he's made some good progress, but it looks like we got a two steps forward, one step back scenario going on here. Is that right? Before we play this clip?
Yeah, I mean, Kennedy is doing the best he can. I mean, he's it's a battle, and he's just one man. He's got a lot of people to go against. Of course, he has Dr. Jay Bhattacharya at the NIH director, will hopefully help lend a hand. His CDC director, the new director, Menarez, I don't believe she's going to be much help, but we'll see. Then, of course, Dr. Macri over the FDA, hopefully he can be part of that. But and Dr. Oz, I don't give him much credence as far as helping. Ultimately, the MAHA folks, they want the mRNA technology stopped, period. not just COVID vaccines and flu vaccines, but also, any research that's being done for cancer drugs, for example. We just believe that the mRNA technology is unstable
Yeah.
and unsafe at this time. And so that's what people want. Is he going to be able to get there? Well, he's trying, and this, this current thing he's done is an attempt, kind of a roundabout attempt. What he's doing is he's saying that the mRNA COVID vaccines and flu vaccines are really not effective. That's his key. He's not going down that they're not safe. He's tried that, and that's that's a difficult road to hoe, so to speak. So he's going for it's not effective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's play the clip. Here it is. Here we go.
IH, which is a vaccine that addresses the entire phylum of viruses. And so it's a vaccine that mimics natural immunity. And it is effective against any kind of mutation. So it doesn't drive the virus to mutate. And it could be effective. We believe it's going to be effective against not only coronaviruses, but also flu. And it's going to be a much safer and much more effective vaccine.
Mark, did you have a question?
All right. So a safer, more effective vaccine. Do you believe that?
Well, I mean, what I thought we were going to show the other video, but so what's happened kind of simultaneously here is that, Kennedy came out and he said that he's going to eliminate $500 million worth of funding through BARDA through for the mRNA COVID and flu vaccine studies. And so, everybody was excited about that, but he said the reason he was going to eliminate those research grants was because of the mRNA platform was not effective. And he talked about, this where, and many people talked about this early on during the COVID vaccines. Dr. Peter McCullough, many others talked about how it drives mutations. It drives the virus to mutate further, and not only to mutate, but to mutate with more virulent or more dangerous strains. And we saw that with COVID. We saw that the Omicron came out just after the vaccines came out in 21, and the Omicron was much more harmful to people and even younger folks, and so even folks without comorbidities. And so this was something that Kennedy has brought up, that this is one of the big problems with the mRNA technology. It's not effective, and it actually could cause more virulent strains of viruses to pop up. So that was his argument, and then he's come out now and said, but we have something better, and this better is this. It's what they call a universal vaccine platform. It's through the NIH. Now, this actually came about back in May. They announced it didn't get much coverage, but Kennedy is now talking about this. And this platform, it's not an mRNA platform, and that's key. It's more of the older type, a standard vaccine using a portion or an attenuated type virus to do that. And it would be, he's saying it would be effective against COVID as well as flu strains and other viruses. And so, there's a lot of, this has been being worked on for a long time. I think in 2015, they really started got going on it. But, there's, ultimately, I think what Kennedy's trying to do is find a roundabout way to get rid of the mRNA COVID vaccines and flu vaccine research, but ultimately, like I said, the movement wants all mRNA technology to be stopped, really, at this time, and furthermore to come out and say that it's caused harm, deaths, and illnesses, and et cetera. So it's a roundabout way of doing it, and we'll see how it works out.
Okay, so do we really need more vaccines, though, Dr. Witcher?
Well, I think Kennedy knows that if there's no vaccines out there, then I mean, that's just a hill he can't climb. I mean, there's just too many people that will say, he's crazy. He's an anti-vaxxer, et cetera. And I can tell you, I just got a flyer from the AMA. I'm not a member of the AMA. I haven't been a member of the AMA since probably 2010. But they still, I guess I'm still on their list as a member, and they send me information. And so the new president of the AMA, he's making all these declarations, and of course, right there and he says, talks about vaccines, that we have to push forward to make sure America knows that vaccines are safe and trusted. Mm-hmm. So so I think Kennedy is doing his best, and he's I don't think he can eliminate vaccines altogether. But I will say this, this universal vaccine platform we're talking about here, I mean, it wouldn't even be, the studies wouldn't start until next year, and then it wouldn't even be FDA approved until 2029. And so, it buys us some time.
All right. It buys us some time. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Dr. Witcher, you seem like you have lost some weight since I last saw you. I haven't seen you myself in a while.
Yeah, I have. Mm-hmm.
How much weight have you lost?
I don't. I'm down. I'm hanging around 170. I don't know. I probably lost. I used to stay around in the 190s at one time, but I mean, I've been slowly losing weight over a few years.
Man, you're looking thin, looking nice. You're looking good, but
thank you.
But I was used to the more fuller Kenny Rogers look.
Oh yeah.
Man, wow. All right. So are you happy overall with RFK Jr.?
Well, I mean, I think the only way we're going to be truly happy is if the mRNA platform is eliminated. But really, I mean, all these vaccine injured people need to be acknowledged. I mean, and the deaths. I mean, we know of Ernest Romero, for example. I mean, a young male within a week of taking a vaccine died, and the autopsy report is clear that he died of myocarditis. And so this should be acknowledged. The government should come forward. Somebody needs to be held responsible. And he's just one individual. There's probably no telling how many out there that this occurred with. And then, of course, all the vaccine injured, tens and tens, probably hundreds of thousands just in the United States. And React 19 is one of the leading groups. Dr. Washcog, who is an orthopedic surgeon who developed transverse myelitis from a vaccine. And then you got Bree Dressen, who was involved in the initial studies with the vaccines and has been injured. And none of these people are getting any justice or even acknowledgement. So it's a big problem.
Okay. Anything else? Any other news that you want to report here tonight?
We just have to keep praying. That's our, I think, I believe it's a miracle Kennedy is where he's at. I think that was through a lot of prayer and just God's doing. And so I think we'll just continue to pray and be patient and know that God's in control. And, just know that he's, we may not know what the future holds, but we know who holds the future.
That's right. That's right. By the way, I don't do the vaccines. I haven't had any shots like that. I don't think since I was a child, and I'm now 56. So it's been a while. And I don't even give my dog vaccines. She got her shots before I got her. And I couldn't do anything about that, but she hasn't had any, and I'm not giving her any. I've been watching more and more veterinarians, by the way. I know you're not a veterinarian, but I've been watching more and more veterinarians that are warning about all of these shots these dogs are getting, and they don't need all these shots, and they don't need them as often as they're getting them. So it sounds like the whole vaccine industry on people and pets has been the same agenda: money, 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 money.
Well, it seems that way. I mean, Brooke, my wife, we were just discussing this a few hours ago, and the shots that animals are given, vaccines, et cetera. And we're talking about the illnesses that our pets have now, all these cancers. We don't remember this, just like in our and our children and our families, we don't remember all these illnesses, autoimmune diseases, and cancers that have arisen. And so once again, until vaccines are proven safe, I don't care what kind of vaccines they are. I mean, the safety studies have not been done correctly. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm against vaccines at this point in my life as well.
Yeah, I'm just not messing with them. So for me or my pet. All right, now your show that you co-host every day with your lovely wife, Brooke, Code Blue, that airs every day live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. At what time, Doc?
6:30.
6:30 Central. The off days, Tuesday and Thursdays would be 6 Central, Logan tells me. 6 Central, and the off days would be Patrick Wood and Logan House. So 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Code Blue, Dr. Witcher, and his lovely wife, Brooke. So glad you're a part of our team, Doc.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon.
Hey, Doc. I just put on my my Freestyle Labrie 3 today under my arm. Yeah. To monitor my blood sugar and all that good stuff. What do you think about that?
Well, I am, AI is something that is, there's going to be lots of good things that come out of AI. And of course, like anything, there's going to be, it can be used for evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think our world's going to change drastically over the next few years. And medicine is going to be part of that drastic change. I think doctors are a lot of them will be, somewhat, I don't know if they'll be fully replaced, but certainly AI is being used both now and more so with diagnosis and treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I don't see it as it could be a good thing, but the problem is if the government is overseeing it, as they did in the COVID pandemic, for example, they're going to be dictating the treatment plan, for example.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think about me tracking my blood sugar after my meals?
I mean, that's the trend. Everything's going to be tracked, right? I mean, our biometric data, whether it be our blood sugars or our whatever, our vital signs, and I'm not a fan of it. Unfortunately, I mean, once again, it can provide good data for doctors, but in the wrong hands, you're going to be tracked and controlled. Really, that's what it boils down to. So I think we have to be very skeptical. The whole electronic health record system, and now you have people like Planeteer, Peter Thiel's company that's massive, and it's taken over really the whole. It was a big part of Operation Warp Speed. I don't know if people know that.
By the way, did you see President Trump bragging again this week about Operation Warp Speed?
I did. Medical miracle, but once again, he has to know. I do know he knows because that's why he brought Kennedy in to assure that he would have a good enough turnout to win the election. Why he still goes down that path is beyond me. Once again, he is a man, and he's fallible. And just like in his first presidency, I think he listened to some wrong advice, and I'm afraid he could be falling into that category now. It's these tech guys when it comes to Chat GPT and even Grok and Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Larry Ellison and right on down the list. I don't know if it's a good thing to turn over so much data.
I agree with that.
People. Yeah,
I agree with that. All right. Well, as always, we sure appreciate you, Doc, and Brooke, and that you host this show 3 days a week, and hope people watch it at worldviewtube.com. Hope you have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. John Witcher checking in. Watch him and Brooke Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at worldviewtube.com, code blue. We'll be right back after this break. Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. All right, guys, that's our broadcast for tonight. Roll the music. We got to get out of here. We got a dinner reservation to take Miss Melissa to dinner to celebrate her birthday. Yeah. So happy birthday, Melissa. And again, you guys send over your birthday greetings, and I'll be sure to pass them on to her and show them to her. Brannon at worldviewtube.com, Brannon. Brannon at worldviewtube.com. Thank you to all of you who have been wishing her happy birthday on Facebook. Many of you have texted her directly because you have her number. And many of you sent it in by email as well. So thank you to all of you. She's really having a great day. So we're going to take good care of her this weekend. All right. Lord willing, we'll be back next weekend. Next week, not next weekend. Next week, Monday, we'll be back with you, Lord willing, unless there's big news that requires us to break in, and then we will. But let's pray that doesn't happen. Have a great weekend. May God save America. Take care.
You're watching Worldview Tube, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon Howse.
And many other issues that are going on in the Middle East. And then at 1:30, we are going to jump in for a few moments with Nicole Pearson. She is an attorney. She is a mother. She is a wife, obviously, a mother and a wife, and an attorney, and a real go-getter. She has been someone we've been interviewing now for what do you think, Logan, 3 or 4 years? And how many of you know that right now, your grandchild, male or female, your minor child or grandchild could be taken by someone, I quote, boyfriend, girlfriend, child trafficker, to California. And good luck getting your child back. California is a sanctuary state for LGBTQ, abortion, and we had Nicole on last night. We're bringing her here. She testified before a congressional committee in her home state of California. This is a red alert for every parent in the country. Don't say, oh, well, that's just California. Because if they take your child to California and they fill out one piece of paper, just fill out one piece of paper, no, nothing notarized, just simply fill out one piece of paper. The state of California is going to be involved in the legal process of kidnapping your minor child. All of this sounds too crazy. It's like, no, he has to be exaggerating. Yeah, that's what I asked her last night. This sounds so crazy. It has to be exaggeration. It's not. She's an attorney and she's very careful. How many of you know who Jack Hibbs is? Jack Hibbs. He's the pastor of a Calvary Chapel church in California. He is on video. Maybe I'll find the video. Maybe we could find that video, Logan. Play it. Jack Hibbs is saying that if this bill becomes law in California, you should, and you're a parent, you should pack up your bags and get out of California. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're the pastor of a church and you have spent years building up that flock, which he's done, do you think on a whim he's going to just encourage his congregation, his sheep, to scatter? No, but he's being a good shepherd. And he's warning the flock. that if this bill passes, you are going to need to flee the state of California. I'm going to play the video, which is audio, obviously, for radio. I'm going to play it right now, and I need you to tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, Truth Social. Tell everybody you know to tune in at worldviewtube.com. Tune in to the VCY America terrestrial station you're listening to in your market, whatever that those call letters are, that frequency is.